everyone, and welcome to Ear Science Institute Australia's online panel discussion, live with Ear Science. We are delighted to be here today to bring you an exclusive insight into our cutting-edge research and developments in the hearing space. It has been 12 months since we last welcomed you into the home of Ear Science for our first online event. Over this time, the Institute has had many great achievements, from celebrating our 20th anniversary and furthering our local and global collaborations with respected industry leaders, to reaching significant milestones in our research projects and increasing our impact in 5 Pilbara communities. Our dedicated team of audiologists and surgeons have worked hard this year, caring for 30,000 patients over the year. Last week, we opened our 18th Lions Hearing Clinic, allowing us to change the lives of even more people with hearing loss in our community. And our goal is to reach 21 Lions Hearing Clinics by the end of 2021. Our brain and hearing team, led by newly appointed Associate Professor Dr. Melanie Ferguson, have made great strides in their ambition to delay the onset of dementia, reaching the halfway mark in Dr. Jayacody's HearCog trial. The team continues to deepen their understanding of the emotional and psychosocial impacts of hearing loss, determined to increase the quality of life for those hard of hearing. In our hearing therapeutics team, the commitment to finding a permanent cure for hearing loss is greater than ever. From the development of new drugs and devices to growing organoids or cochlears in a dish, the cure could be closer than ever. Now, without further ado, I am honoured to pass you over to our wonderful panel. Over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Sandra, and welcome all. Again, I'd like to thank you for joining us today for Live with Ear Science. My name is Daniel Vandermeer, and I will be facilitating today's panel discussion. Today, we will hear all about Ear Science Institute Australia's development of cutting-edge, world-first hearing therapeutics on their road to a future without hearing loss. Let's get started with an introduction to our brilliant panelists. Our first panelist is Ear Science's founding director and world-renowned surgeon-scientist, Professor Marcus Atlas. Hello,
Hi,
Marcus.
Hi there.
Hello. Here to give us the clinical perspective of the impact of this research is Lions Hearing Clinic clinical audiologist, Madison Brennan. Hi, Maddie.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello. Next to Madison, we have Head of Hearing Therapeutics at Ear Science Institute Australia, Associate Professor Hani Al-Salami. Hello, Hani.
Hi.
And finally, we have Lions Hearing Clinic cochlear implant patient, Jodie Maitland, joining us to give us her insight on life with hearing loss and the impacts of these life-changing developments. Thanks for joining us, Jodie.
Hi.
We will also be joined at the end of the panel discussion by the head coach of the Australian cricket team and Ear Science's ambassador, Justin Langer, PSA World Cup winning coach.
Yes.
A live Q&A is now open. If you have any questions for our panelists, follow the link on the screen and submit your questions for our panelists to enter at the end of this discussion. Now, let's dive into this discussion. So Marcus, we're here to talk about the development of new treatments and cures for hearing loss. Can you tell me what you're currently seeing amongst your patients and why these treatments are needed?
Oh, Dan, we're seeing an explosion of hearing loss in the middle-aged and elderly age groups. In 2050, 1 in 4 people in Australia will be affected by hearing loss. So it's a serious problem for us to deal with here at Ear Science Institute Australia and really for the whole world. It's led to an enormous amount of activity in the area of hearing aids and implantable hearing devices like the Cochlear implant. So we're seeing modern technology take over hearing rehabilitation and make an enormous difference to the community with all of these modern devices. And at the same time, we need to be careful to prevent hearing loss in kids and in adults by various techniques. The last thing that we're doing at Ear Science is trying to prevent and cure hearing loss. So we've got a real interest in new technology, new research, new ways of being able to rehabilitate the tiny hair cells of the cochlea and regenerate hearing.
1 in 4, that's huge.
1 in 4 is huge, and there's a lot of work to be done.
Yes, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Hani, you and your team are paving the way to a cure. Tell us about what you're working on.
Yes, thank you. So we focus on drug delivery, and drug delivery means designing new technology using groundbreaking techniques and methodologies, collaborating with wide range of various multidisciplinary teams, focusing on designing and developing something so specific and novel and transforming current therapies into something that works. So for example, if you want to think about the inner ear, which is the target of many drugs, the inner ear is a very, very kind of tedious structure. It's a very tiny structure embedded within the brain and surrounded by bones. So and hence, that's why everyone in the world is trying to come up with a solution that can overcome such a major obstacle in the delivery of drugs that we will require into these deep, deep, deep areas of the brain or the inner ear where it works. So our mission has been and continue to be designing a whole new generation of nano delivery systems. And this generation will enable and facilitate not just the delivery of the drug where it goes, where it should go, but also the time frame by which it will reach the target, as well as stay in the target where it does the job the best.
Okay, I believe there's an analogy about a pizza.
What about the pizza?
I want to hear about the pizza.
Okay, this is something that I've joked about, but now it's coming into line. Think about it as what we're trying to do now is coming up with a whole brand new generation of pizza that is so delicious, and we can deliver it in such a timely manner to overcome all obstacles.
You'll be writing a thesis about this soon.
Yeah,
you have your pizza, honey, by the way, PS, so thank you very much. That's great, thank you. Maddie, what's your clinical perspective on these developments? Why seek treatment now if there's a cure around the corner?
Well, yeah, I think it's nothing short of exciting to have this in the future. I can probably speak for all of our Lions clinicians that work in the clinics in that not one of us got into this job without the idea and the passion to help people. So the thought for the 30,000 or so clients that walk through our door that there will actually be a cure for them one day is beyond remarkable. And I think that's what's so great about working at Lions Hearing and the Ear Science Institute is that there is that relationship of science meets the clinical service. And it really is about treatments today, but looking to the future at what cures there are. In saying that, like you said, it is just around the corner though. Or it is around the corner. So what can we do here and now? And the best thing we can do is act on our hearing loss. So early intervention and, time critical care is the best thing for hearing loss. Right. We know that untreated hearing loss has so many far-reaching effects like dementia, isolation, anxiety, depression, increased frailty. So with all that combined, here and now, we want to act on our hearing loss. And, in my own personal experience, my grandfather has a profound hearing loss in both ears. And the thought of something like what Hani's doing is just amazing. Yeah. But today, I want him hearing and engaging and having the best quality of life that he possibly can, as well as for all the clients that I see. So that answer is the hearing devices, like Marcus was saying. They're, doing so many amazing things with Bluetooth and things like that.
Yes.
So, today, that's the recommendation, is to act on the hearing loss.
And so as a failed rock star who's 48 years old, I should be clearly in the target market for getting my hearing checked.
Definitely,
all those years of the drum and the bad singing. And
it's definitely something, we all need to put hearing on the priority. Yes. Marcus said already, the incidence of hearing loss is only going to increase. Yeah. So we all need to be proactive, and I think that's the best approach we can do.
Yeah, but Dan, the modern hearing aid is just unbelievable. Everybody thinks that these hearing aids are what they sort of remember from years ago. The modern hearing aid technology is completely unbelievable for patients. So they always get a shock in terms of the way it works, its function, its ability to connect to Bluetooth, all of these wonderful things, and the way it looks. So I think a lot of people don't really know what's happening at the moment in terms of hearing aid technology.
Yeah. I've got to say, my wife's dad wears a tiny little hearing aid, and he forgets to turn it down sometimes, and the kids come in, and that's
bit of a shock.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock. Jody, both you and your son live with hearing loss and have reaped the benefits of cochlear implants. From your perspective, how would the development of these drugs impact your life if they were available?
Hi, yes, these drugs would be amazing if they were available to cure hearing loss. It's what everyone dreams of, is to have a cure so that we can hear, say, for example, at night time when we take our devices off, we won't have those barriers if we had a cure for hearing loss. On the other side of the coin, it is important to act now. If you do have a hearing loss, it's very important to act now. And I will refer back to my son Hayden, who 7 years ago had his cochlear implant, and he has progressed through school, and he yeah, he's doing really, really well. He's just graduated from year 12 and heading to uni next year, which I don't believe would have been possible without his cochlear implant.
That must feel awesome to.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm very proud of him, and he's worked very hard, both in the rehabilitation with his cochlear implant, but also at school. And yeah, he's excited about even possibly working with implants in the future, with the software design side of things to make things better. Fantastic. So it's very exciting. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. And I believe there's a family link with you.
There is. So my father actually was the first one that came to ear science, and Professor Atlas did his implant. He had an implant, and yes, very strongly encouraged me. In other words, said, "You're doing this." So yes, along came myself, and I had bilateral implants, and same thing for Hayden. I noticed he wasn't hearing as much at school, and I didn't want him to have those struggles at school. I knew he was a smart kid.
Yes,
he just needed to hear what was being said in the classroom.
So it was almost an intuition. Obviously, you know, because of what you went through.
Absolutely.
Also, you had an intuition. He's a smart kid.
Absolutely.
You should be.
Yeah, I definitely knew what to look for, the signs to look for, and but yeah, it's exciting in the future. Yeah,
fantastic. Is there a car park out the front for you guys, or
Not yet.
Not yet. I love it. Clearly, these developments will be life-changing, Hani. What's the process of bringing them to life?
It is a complex process and it's challenging, to say the least. However, we are working days and nights to drive this process of reaching the patient, which is the ultimate goal. Yeah. It is a collaborative process. So we work with clinicians, we work with engineers and so forth, many disciplines, scientists, physiologists, biochemists, and the likes, in order to really vamp up and speed up the process of reaching the ultimate goal, which is our patients. They come first and foremost. So it is a long process, but we're getting there. And a very good example of the speed by which a drug made it to the market very quickly is COVID-19 vaccine. And now we also have already a treatment and trial for it. So within a few months, if the whole world focus on getting something done, we can get it done. But it is work in progress, and we invested heavily to see that fruition.
A final question with that notice, Hani. Does pineapple belong in your pizza?
Which one of the day?
That's another panel. One more thing from my point of view, actually. What's a sign as a middle-aged person, you know, man or female, I guess, what's a sign that something's wrong? Is it going out to a pub and not hearing, you know, it's a muddled, what I like to use in the music, you know, in what we call a muddled mix, where you just can't hear everything clearly. Is that sort of a pretty good sign that, you know?
Yeah, I think so, Dan. You're right. So it's usually hearing and background noise.
Yep.
So you start to notice that in a busy environment, or sitting at the dinner table with a group of people, or if you're at the pub and you simply can't understand anything that anybody's talking to you about in a group, that's the very first sign of this high frequency nerve related hearing loss that we typically see. And so that's time to act. So if it happens, it's so easy to get a hearing test in our community now. It's really not difficult. We're really lucky in Australia to have so many experienced hearing clinicians. And at the Lions Hearing Clinics, we've got hearing clinics all over Western Australia. So it's quite possible to get a hearing test if you're just not sure. And then you'll get an experienced clinician explaining it all to you. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. You mentioned dementia was a result of untreated hearing loss. Can you elaborate on that, Marcus?
Yes, it's a real concern of ours that there's clear evidence now that there are a group of factors that occur during a person's life that can predispose them to dementia in later life. And the biggest single factor, 9% of the evidence is around hearing loss. So it's the biggest single factor, and this typically occurs in the 50s and 60s, and that's when we should intervene. So we believe, and here at Ear Science, we're doing a number of studies. Donna Giacotti is doing this group of studies on trying to see whether intervention with a hearing aid will actually prevent the onset of dementia. We believe it will, but we have to prove it. And so that's one of her big studies. It's a fabulously well-constructed studies, and really one of its only type in the world. So this is a big thing for us at Ear Science, and we want our community to be aware of it.
Sure. Well, I think there's only one negative come out of curing hearing loss, and that's, as a dad, not being able to crack that hey, I can't hear you. What? No, that's a tragedy.
No, that's
I'm only joking, of course. Guys, fantastic panel. I really enjoyed listening to all your fantastic insights into this emerging, wonderful thing that's happening here. So thank you very much. It's now time to welcome a man who I personally love, and I think a lot of Australians do at the moment, more so than usual. It's time to welcome Ear Science's ambassador and champion of healthy hearing and a T20 World Cup winning coach, Mr. Justin Langer. Hello, Justin.
Hey.
Thank you. It's got a nice ring about it. And it makes it nice because I'm doing another stint of 2 weeks quarantine in Queensland at the moment. So at least we've all got a smile on our faces.
That's right. I've got to mention, I'd like to thank you for the weeks of sleep deprivation over the last couple of weeks. I'm still in sleep debt, but I'm getting back there. But it was just a fantastic tournament. Talk us through, I know it's a cliche question, but just how it felt to finally break that duck for Australia, pardon the pun.
Yeah, look, it was. It's a great feeling, particularly as we went in. I would say Australians love being underdogs, don't they? And I don't think anyone gave us any chance because of what had been happening previously. But there's lots of reasons why we went into the tournament like we did. And but we were very confident. We were very, very focused. We had an incredible team. There's my favourite photograph of the World Cup is at the end, and our West Australian Mitch Marsh has hit the winning runs, and there's a whole lot of guys jumping all over him. But if you look closely, the guys who are jumping over him all the guys were our bench players, and that says a lot for the spirit of the team. And I always think the depth of the team and how they've all bought into winning for the team was awesome. So there was a great spirit. We embraced fun on and off the field. We played great cricket. We're very focused. We're very process orientated, and to get the result is a great feeling.
Great. How's the preparation going for the Ashes? It's a big series coming up. How's it going your end?
It's funny because someone said to me the other day, it's like in an AFL grand final or a rugby grand final. We've just played it, and now we're going to start another grand final that goes for about 8 weeks in about 3 weeks' time. So we're all exhausted at the moment, but we're very focused. Australians love cricket in the summer. They love Test cricket, and particularly in Ashes summer. So it's going to be great. We'll have plenty of confidence going into this series, but it all starts again. I mean, like I say, it's another final series, and we're really excited about it. We'll have a good team. We'll be well prepared, and as I said, there's nothing like an Ashes summer. And it's coming on to us really quickly.
Yeah, I think a follow-up doco called 5-0 has a really good ring to it, just so you know.
You're telling me, mate. I promise after what the team and I have been through over the last, leading into the World Cup, and those, as I said, it's got a nice ring about it, having won a World Cup, and it'd be nice to be able to say that about an Ashes as well.
100%. Justin, as an advocate for the importance of being proactive about healthy hearing and personally knowing the impacts of treating hearing loss, what do you have to say about joining to those of us watching, joining us today?
Well, firstly, as much as the World Cup puts a smile on my face, seeing Marcus puts a smile on my face as well, and seeing Ear Science in the background there, because literally it changed my life. It physically and mentally changed my life when and that's when it was an absolute no-brainer for me to become an ambassador for Ear Science. And an advocate for the brilliant researchers and all the clinicians and the work that's being done, because having been through a really tough time personally a couple of years ago, the impact it had on me and then my family, because I was happy again. I had no idea what was going on. I had this tinnitus. I was ringing my ear, then I had vertigo and I was falling over everywhere. Then I got diagnosed with these vestibular migraines and my hearing loss, and man, it honestly changed my life. So to see Marcus there, to see Ear Science, to see you guys talking about it, puts a huge smile on my face, because I'm greatly indebted to Ear Science and all the wonderful people and the really smart people who have made a difference to my life, and I know are making a difference in so many people's lives.
That's fantastic. Well, on behalf of everyone, Justin, I feel like I'm talking on behalf of Australia. Thank you for joining us today and telling us your story. And well done again on a fantastic campaign. I'd like to say, I hope you enjoy quarantine, but you won't. But I hope it goes really quickly. And yeah, we look forward to a great summer of cricket. Thank you very much again.
Yeah, thanks. And I encourage everyone out there to, be part of finding cures for hearing loss and supporting the brilliant minds at Ear Science, because it really does make a difference.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you
Justin.
so much.
Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
See you, Marcus. See you guys. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Good
Thanks
to see you.
for having me.
Now, finally, we've got a few questions submitted from the people watching panel. So let's just go through those, a few of these. Harney, one for you. Sam has asked, what is the timeline for these treatments you talk about?
Yes, so this is an interesting question. People ask a fair bit about the timeline, and as I mentioned before, that we are driving it, we're progressing it, we're inventing a lot, in order to progress that further to the clinic. However, putting a specific timeline can be quite challenging at times. But from experience, and as I mentioned, with COVID-19, being able to produce a vaccine and now a treatment in the clinical trial within a few months was quite remarkable, and it just demonstrates the implications of the whole world joining together and investing together and coming together. That's right, in order to achieve that milestones very quickly and effectively. So we are pushing hard, we are invested, we work days and nights, and hopefully it will be sometime soon.
Fantastic. This is a massive question. I want to put it to you, Maddie. This speaks to me, this one. As a parent, should I be worried about my son listening to loud music on his AirPods?
Right, yeah. So unfortunately, I probably do have to be a bit of a fun police with
That's
this
all right,
one.
we need fun police.
So with excessive noise, it can be damaging. The inner ear is very sensitive, so loud sounds can cause damage, which can then lead to hearing loss.
Yep.
So things like AirPods and any sort of headphones, that if they're cranked up enough, they can cause damage. So it is something to be mindful of, with your kids and things like that. I'm myself fond of a good TikTok, so I know that we've got, sounds around us more than ever. So things to be mindful, for this person who wrote the question, things, if you're walking past whilst they're on the iPad and you can hear the sound from their headphones, being mindful that that's probably at too loud a level, or even sort of a general rule of thumb, if, from me to you away and you're wearing headphones and you can't maintain a conversation with me with that noise coming into your ear, you've probably got it up too loud, because that should be enough, that you could still,
So when I'm telling my kids that I can hear that, turn it down, I can quote you on that.
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah, definitely.
You can.
Everyone in this panel, go.
Yeah. You've got the support. Yeah.
But you know what they get first is tinnitus. So they start getting ringing in their ears, and that usually indicates that there's been some early damage. And if they continue to accumulate all of this sound and get tinnitus the next night or the next day and a further high frequency hearing loss, then it becomes permanent. So these are our kids of our community. So we should be protecting their hearing, and it's not that hard to be able to protect their hearing. So we do advocate it.
Yeah, okay. That's great. Well, I will quote that because, it's rife in our house. One for you, Marcus. Where does the money donated to Ear Science go?
Oh, okay, you gave me the money.
Yeah, I gave you the money.
Question.
You're the money.
Thanks a lot. Well, we've got a lot of wonderful projects at Ear Science. We're involved in education, training, and particularly research, and you've heard about that tonight or today. The research programs have led to some wonderful people doing wonderful things, and particularly scholarships to students, young students like Wan Ting, who completed her PhD this year in the area of stem cells and the regeneration of the human tympanic membrane. And so they're the sort of things that our funding goes to, but particularly to helping young people do wonderful things in the lab and making and creating new ideas, just that many of the things that Arnie's talked about in this presentation.
Yeah, right. We've got a question on screen here from one of the viewers. So this is open to the panel. I have a perforation on my eardrum and heard about clear drum research. What is the time frame before it can be applied to someone like me?
Well, this is just one of our projects at Ear Science, a long-term project in reconstruction of the eardrum, and that's of course the work that Ting was doing on stem cells is part of that project. And so here in Perth, we're seen as sort of the world leaders in the human eardrum.
Right.
and the way it regenerates and the cells and how we might be able to intervene in that. And one of the projects is this thing called Clear Drum, which is a particular graft, a biological graft made out of silk that we use to reconstruct the human tympanic membrane. There's still work to be done in that. We still haven't completed the device and we haven't got regulatory approval yet. So there's work to be done there. And it just shows you the sort of onerous progress that goes between an idea and sort of getting it out there. And as Hani said, COVID-19 showed that you can do it, but you have to have the whole world working together and a hell of a lot of money to be able to make it happen. But it's just an example of taking something from the bench to the bedside.
Yeah, I might quote you on that. That's a good little saying there. I've got one here from Yvonne. I think, Maddie, you can take this one. What can I do for ringing in my ear?
Yeah, that's a good question and something we do get quite often. And there's lots of things that we can do in terms of tinnitus. And it's sort of coming in for that assessment, looking at the hearing, looking at how everything's working. So for someone who may be hearing loss and tinnitus, they're sort of coexisting together. Hearing aids can definitely help. And coming back to what Marcus was saying earlier with the Bluetooth, so there's things we can listen to, sound relief apps to sort of shift the mind's focus, that sort of thing. Education, so just understanding what's happening, any sort of triggers and things like that. How do we manage it? How do we shift the focus? How do we, that sort of relaxation aspect and things like that.
Great.
All the hearing things, all the things we do to rehabilitate hearing have this secondary effect on tinnitus, suppressing tinnitus. Did you have tinnitus, Jane?
I didn't, but Hayden did, yes.
Yeah. And did his cochlear implant help the tinnitus?
He did. He kind of worked through it a little bit and listening to a little bit of background noise and, as coming into the clinic and working through with the audiologist to work through that, it doesn't bother him anymore. He still gets it, I think.
Because it's sort of it's a brain issue. It's not only the peripheral part of the cochlea, the hair cell regeneration, it's the whole auditory pathway. So we work not only at the hearing, the cochlear part with a cochlear implant or a hearing aid, but we also work at the brain. And so there are various ways to try to teach the brain, behavioural therapy, sometimes even drug therapy, to try to change the central component of the tinnitus. So there's lots we can do, and you just need to have a really good, experienced, multidisciplinary group of clinicians, and nearly everybody with tinnitus can be helped. Nearly everybody.
Yeah, great. Okay, that's fantastic. I think this will be our last question for the day, and we'll try and keep it quick. This is one from Anne. I'm just wondering if you're doing research on regeneration of damaged hair cells in the cochlea. I would like to be a candidate, so hands will go up. If you are doing any experiments in this field.
Honey.
Yes. So the answer to her question, Anne, is yes, we are. We've got an interest and we've got the technology so far able of delivering certain genes. So there are specific genes that are selected specifically for the enabling of these hair cells to grow again and becoming functional ones. We are starting the research, so we're not there yet. It's work in progress, but we've made a fundamental progress and a leap moving forward in order to design these nanogels that can deliver these specific genes into a specific type of cells inside the inner ear or the cochlea, and these cells then will differentiate in functional hair cells. And these cells are responsible for hearing. So by enabling these cells to be functional, the restoration of the hearing can happen eventually.
Right. Well, panel, I've had a blast hosting you guys. This has been a fantastic, really informative session. So thank you very much. I feel very privileged to be here with such wonderful people. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you much to everyone who joined us today on live with Ear Science. If we didn't manage to get to your question, we'll make sure to follow it up. So please keep checking back. One of our team members will be in touch. If you have any follow-up questions, please send them through to Ear Science's researchers and clinicians. To keep up to date on the progression of Ear Science's incredible research, please be sure to follow them on their social media accounts. We look forward to seeing you next time for further exciting updates on the road to a future free of hearing loss. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.